Welcome back to another mini class. I got a request for some easy slippers from one of my prior students, and she made mention of Grandma's easy slippers or famous slippers, and it got me to thinking about this slipper pattern that I have that is very easy. I don't know if I want to call it Grandma's pattern, but it's a very easy slipper pattern, and it uses just the very basic casting on, knit, purl, and there's not even a bind off, and just a little bit of seaming. So I have the pattern, which if you go to my Facebook knitting classes group, you can download the pattern there. I'll upload it so you can get it there. But I just want to go through the directions and go through the process of making one of the slippers just so that you can see how easy it is. And these are for adult size, either small, medium, large for women. But I guess if you went with the slightly bigger needles or slightly thicker yarn or slightly smaller needles and finer yarn, you could size the slippers for child size too. But for the standard women's size, you're going to need size 8 needles, about 300 yards of worsted weight or size category 4 yarn. For slippers, I like, well, actually for anything, I like wool. But you could choose anything you like, and so I'll go through the small size. Keep dropping stuff here. So I'm just going to cast on 23 stitches. This is for the smallest size, so I'm just going to use standard cast on. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'll be with you in just a few minutes or a couple of minutes, and after I get my stitches cast on. Okay, so here I have my 23 stitches cast on, and incidentally I am using a worsted weight yarn, but I'm using size 5 needles, so my slipper is going to come out a little smaller because of that. I didn't really put together a gauge on this, so you'll just have to fool around with needle size and yarn until you get a size that you like. Okay, so I've gone, my first row is going to be just the knit row. So I'm going to knit across my 23 stitches. That's pretty easy, nothing difficult about that. So let me get across my 23 stitches, and I'll be back in just a second for row 2. Okay, here I am at row 2. Row 2 is knit 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Purl 1. Knit 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, purl 1, and then knit 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And row 3 is going to be knit across. So I'm going to be alternating these rows, knit across, and then knit 7, purl 1, knit 7, purl 1, knit 7. So I'm going to repeat these rows until I have 11 ridges. So bear with me for a second, and I will do that and come back and tell you what the next part is. Okay, so here I am. It says the directions say repeat those 2 rows until there are 11 ridges on the right side, and then ending with row 2. So I have, this is the right side. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 ridges, but it says ending with row 2. And that is just what I had done. Row 2 being the knit 7, purl 1, knit 7, purl 1, knit 7. And the right side being the knit across. Okay, so now I'm ready to shape the toe. This is the instep, by the way. This is the heel, and this is the bottom of the foot, and then these two sections are the sides. Okay, so on row 1, and we're working on the right side, it's going to be purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, and I'm going to continue that all the way across the row. So purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl, knit, 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 and purl. Okay, and then row 2 is going to be knit 1, purl 1, knit 1 across the row. So what am I doing here? I am doing knit 1, purl 1 ribbing. Purl, knit, 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 purl, and knit. And we're going to repeat these 2 rows 2 times more, which is going to be a total of row 1 and row 2 once the first time, and then row 1 and row 2 twice more, so that's another 4 rows. So let me go ahead and do that, and I will come back to you and show you where we're going to be at. Okay, so I have completed that bit of directions, and now I'm not going to bind off. I'm just going to cut the yarn, leaving a 8-inch tail, or maybe even a little longer. And then we're going to thread that tail through the live loops. So let me get myself a tapestry needle here. Okay, so I'm going to thread my and I'm just going to transfer each stitch as if to purl off of the working needle and onto the tapestry needle one by one. Get rid of the needle here. Oops, I'm tossing that far. Okay, and pull the yarn through all of those, nice and tight. Now actually let me open this up so I can talk about what we've got here. So we've got this little square, right, with the garter on the bottom. and there's ribbing on the top. So this is the foot and this is the toe. And how can you size this up? Obviously, this is going to be a small slipper for its child size because I chose the smaller needles. But let's say I wanted to make this adult size. So in order to make it adult size, I would need the sole of the foot to be the width of the sole of my foot. So let's say that this should be 3 inches. And I'd probably want 3 inches here and 3 inches here. So I would cast on, based on my gauge, enough stitches to give me 3 inches here, 3 inches here, and 3 inches here. A total of 9. And then I would knit the number of garter ridges that I need to give me the length from the heel of the foot to about the ball of the foot, about maybe 3 inches short of the toe. So if your foot is, let's say 9 inches long, you would knit until you've got this section is 6 inches, and then the toe section would be 3 inches worth of this Knit One Purl One ribbing. Or this could be a total of, let's say 5 inches, and then the toe could be 4 inches. So that, I guess that would be your preference. But there's no there's no shaping in this really. The shaping is caused by the fact that the ribbing pulls in. Okay, so back to the finishing of this thing. So what you're going to do is you're going to pull the toe closed. And when you do that, see what happens? It wants to fold in half. So we're going to allow it to do that. And then all you're going to do, you can go around from the other side to tighten it. Being careful not to split the yarn. I like to do this so that it holds when I pull it through. Otherwise it tends to want to open and then leaves a little hole there, which I don't like. So I'm just going to come around a second time through each loop from the opposite end, and I'm taking each loop at a time, one at a time, so that I can make sure I didn't split the yarn. Because if the yarn gets split, what will happen is it will be difficult to pull tight. Nice and tight. And so what happens when you pull it twice around, so it pulls it nice and tight so that you don't get a hole there. This would be also how I would close the top of a hat. Okay, now all I'm going to do is from the right side, with the right side facing out, is I'm just going to use a whip stitch to close the top of the slipper here. And I'm just catching the outside strand. Now, if you want to catch both strands, you can. If you feel you need to make it more secure. So you're just going to sew up the toe, okay, up until the part where you get to the garter stitch. There's the toe. I'm just going to, this will get woven in. Okay, now here's the heel section, and I'm going to use a separate, I'm not going to use this little tail. I guess if I had left a longer tail I could have, but it's not long enough, so I'm just going to use another tail and do the same thing. I'm just going to whip stitch along the edge here. Catching the inside edges here. the way down to the bottom. And there you have it. A small, let me tuck these in so that you can get the feel for what I'm tuck this into the inside for now. Yeah. A little kid-sized slipper. And of course you can embellish this how. You can put a button here or a flower or any number of things. These are quick and easy, easy to resize for any foot length, quick to make. Make little quick gift slippers. All right, that's it. Like I said, download the pattern on my Facebook knitting classes group. I'll put the link in the description. Go over there, join the group, go to the files section, download the pattern. If you have questions, email me or post them to the group, and I'll be happy to answer them. Happy knitting. I'll see you next time.